Spike the bully sauntered down the D-Wing hall, her hunting grounds, searching for today's prey. Life has taught her how to find weaknesses in others and exploit it in her favor. Fresh prey spotted, the bully makes her move.
All right, who's that talking? Good morning.
Simon the Nerd knew it'd be anything but a good morning. Still, some hidden penchant for self-sabotage made him feign friendliness towards the bully in a vain hope of escape.
What?
He knew he was in every way superior to the bully, as time would tell. The day would come when he and his buddies in the chess club ended up running the world with 7-figure annual incomes, while the bully's life would hit its pinnacle in high school and decline into a dead-end job existence, addiction, and an early demise.
Do you really think that? What? No.
But he did.
I do not.
But he did.
I do not. Okay, I was just sucking up to you, all right? I know you want my lunch money, and I was hoping if I was nice to you, you'd let me keep it today. That's all. So you don't really think any of the stuff that voice was talking about? No.
But he did.
All right, is this one of you drama weirdos? Knock it off, or you'll regret ever trying to mess with me. And you're going down.
Is everything okay here, little buddy?
Steve, the head quarterback, knows all the girls are watching as he enters the scene to play the plucky hero.
Wait, what?
This is none of your business, quarterback. It's between me and Poindexter here.
Spike uses her outside voice and adopts a dominant stance, a trick she's seen at home hundreds of times when her older brothers shove her aside to get what they want. She occasionally sports a black eye or a fat lip for trying to cross them, but she's learned to use their training and prey upon the weak at school to get what she wants.
Whoever this is, you need to shut your face hole, or you'll be scraping your remains off the pavement once I find you.
Look, nobody's anybody here. Poindexter, you okay?
Steve, the head quarterback, doesn't actually care if the nerd's okay or not, but wants to keep up the heroic stance as long as all the girls are watching, especially Brittany, the head cheerleader.
Look, of course I care. Why else would I risk my safety to intercept this play to help my friend?
Steve, the quarterback, knows the only reason that he's even nice to the nerd is so that he continue to cheat off him in biology.
So you were only being my friend so you could cheat off my papers?
You only hang out with me so you can hang out with the popular guys sometimes. We don't hang out, we just...
Use each other?
Thank you.
And of course, Steve also wanted to impress Brittany, the head cheerleader.
I'm flattered.
She wasn't really. She recognized Steve's overblown heroic facade, never be into him. Besides, she was far more interested in Jerome.
Excuse me? I'm with Maria?
Yeah, Brittany, what's up with that?
And of course, he told her that he liked her too. She was willing to wait until Jerome had the guts to dump Maria and finally ask her out.
Wait, it's not like that, I swear.
Dump me, so I'm just some phase you're going through?
Plus, Brittany never missed an opportunity to flirt.
Ooh, girl? Didn't realize that boys diss you like that?
Stephanie, who felt she always stood in Brittany's shadow, secretly liked watching Brittany fall a few notches.
Gee, thanks, Stephanie.
Hey, whoever this is, you need to leave the ladies out of it.
Steve, the quarterback, used this opportunity to attempt to regain his fledgling masculinity.
Fledgling what? And stop calling me Steve the quarterback.
Yelled Steve, the quarterback.
Stop calling me that.
Fine came the surprisingly humble request from Steve.
Hey, the voice said something almost nice.
The quarterback.
Whoever this is, knock it off.
It's not funny.
The bully, now afraid her existence really was going to climax in high school and dwindle depressingly downhill from there, scrambled to regain control while she still had a life, recognizing her own midlife crisis.
I will find you and I will end you.
She made idle threats,
Seriously, why are we even listening to this stuff?
said Simon the nerd in a rare moment of bravery.
Dun, dun, dun. Huh?
Ding!
I can't believe this. It's happening again.
The cyberbully?
It says I'm so ugly and stupid. It'd be better off if I just killed myself.
You know that's not true. Cyberbullies are cowards. Everyone knows that. They're too afraid to say anything face to face, so they hide behind a computer screen. I bet I can hack into the system and find out who your cyberbully is. You should come over after school with your phone and passwords and my computer. I can totally figure this out.
There's nothing snipers hate more than somebody shining a light on them. It takes away all their fun. I say do it.
Steve, the quarterback, afraid his last heroic moment didn't garner him enough man points, tries to play the hero yet again.
No, I wasn't. Seriously, I've got nothing else to add here. Raina pretty much covered it.
So the voice was wrong. It doesn't know everything.
Angela hadn't spoken until now, for fear that her deepest, darkest secret might be exposed, knowing it was always a gamble to open her mouth.
Or maybe it does know everything. I'd just like to apologize to whoever you are for implying you don't know what you're talking about.
A gamble because if she is wrong, soon everyone within earshot will know.
And I sincerely hope my apology will be accepted and we can move forward from this moment with forgiveness in our hearts.
That she was the one who put the Photoshop pictures of the principal, Mr. Green, in drag all over the D-Wing Hall on the first day of school. A prank that put everyone currently present into tension for a week.
That was you? Look, I'm sorry. I didn't know it was gonna be that serious. I just really thought it was funny.
I hadn't had detention in my whole life until your stunt. You ruined my perfect record.
Simon, who felt himself superior to literally all of those present, used this opportunity to take a personal stance for the first time in his life.
Wait a second. You think you're superior to me?
Yes.
I mean, I can see why you think you're better than her. Don't get me wrong. But me, the head quarterback, I could be NFL someday.
Steve needed to believe he'd make it big in football because he knew his brains would never carry him that far.
Sometimes people need their illusions.
They all turned to Stephanie, surprised by her unexpected wisdom on the state of mankind.
What? I'm not a nerd, therefore I can't have a thought of my own? Who are you anyway?
Demanded Stephanie in a surprising display of confidence she'd rarely ever felt.
Are you just trying to get us all mad by telling everyone our secrets?
Megan tried to shine a light on the situation, but to no avail.
Point of interest, the voice hasn't said anything about Megan yet. Is that perhaps because it can't?
Bedwetter.
Thanks. Sorry. I'm out.
Same.
Nope.
Paranoid conspiracy theorist, closet gay, secretly binge watches Barney the Dinosaur. Not in that order.
Wait, you binge watch Barney the Dinosaur?
Not in that order. Don't look at me. I'm the paranoid conspiracy theorist.
I'm gay, okay?
OMG, Serena, you love Barney? He's a pretty color of purple and nice. Better than all of you who just pretended to like each other.
Don't let me in with them. I didn't do anything to you. Yet.
Tempers flared as false friendships were revealed. In the hormone-filled high school hallway, a volcano of violence was about to erupt.
Volcano of violence? Hormone-filled high school hallway? Whatever this is, stop it with the purple prose. How do you know this stuff anyway?
Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid.
What?
Pay attention. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid.
You guys, the janitor is right. Stop getting defensive before we start something we can't stop here. We're all so afraid about our own secrets being told that we're attacking each other to put the focus somewhere else.
Maybe this weird voice is trying to show us something. I mean, we're all humans with foibles and flaws. We're a mixed bag.
Stephanie and Serena are right. So we're not perfect. Nobody is. But if we let this voice get to us and we all end up in a fight, none of us win.
Except for that voice.
Nope, not gonna happen. My life may end in addiction and failure, but it hasn't happened yet. If anyone's getting kicked to the curb today, it's you voice.
Hey, your life doesn't have to go down like the voice said. You can turn it around.
Yeah, just because Simon is smarter than you doesn't make him better.
Simon and Brittany tried to take a stand, but it was too late. The volcano of violence was about to erupt any second now.
Why are we even listening to whoever this voice is?
That voice is just like my cyberbully.
I am with you. Do not be afraid or discouraged.
Simon is right. We don't have to listen to that voice. We need to stand together.
I heard in a movie once, if you don't stand for anything, what do you fall for?
We don't have to fall for this. We're better than this.
Yeah, you go, man.
What? No snappy comeback?
Do not be afraid. There is nothing hidden that will not be known, and nothing covered that will not be revealed.
Yeah, forget you, you voice. We don't need you. Who's with me?
I am. Have you ever heard of the phrase mudslinging?
How about office politics?
Have you ever heard of the phrase church politics?
Mudslinging is the term that is used to describe what politicians do to each other when trying to make their opponent look worse than they really are, or trying to take the focus off the real subject.
Office politics is something that almost everyone in the business world is familiar with. People seem to get favor or promotion over those around them that are more deserving for various reasons that often don't make sense to the rest of the office. Someone takes credit for your work, low person on the totem pole. You know the stuff we're talking about.
Church politics is specific to the community of faith, and oftentimes it can be just as bad as mudslinging or office politics. People in a position of influence and power often try to influence the outcome of who will be the music director or the next pastor. People try to influence whether the bulk of money goes and what it will be used for, while others make it their mission to get their choice of color for the new carpet approved that gets put out in the fellowship hall. That is, if the committee ever gets around to approving it. Church politics, office politics.
Mudslinging. You're probably asking yourselves, what does this have to do with Luke and the message about the Pharisees, Herod, Jerusalem, and Jesus? We were kind of wondering the same thing ourselves.
Remember that skit we just did? Looking into high school can sometimes give you a glimpse into the real world. You may not believe us, but it really can. When Spike the bully tried to pull her typical daily stomping maneuvers, everyone reacted the way you think they would. If the same thing were happening in the business world, we might call it office politics. In the church, we would say it's church politics.
When the mystery voice, who is constantly trying to stir the pot, begins with all the mudslinging, our students in the story start to get angry. They start confronting one another about the lies that they have been telling. They start to accuse one another of cheating and plotting against one another until everything appears to be out of control.
But when you hear the other voice, the voice of the janitor, which, by the way, in case you weren't paying attention, that was the voice of God. In our skit, those who thought they were in a position of power or influence, those who thought they were on top, were revealed to be closer to the bottom by the mystery voice. This was also true in the Luke message. Jesus tells them in Luke 13:30, "Indeed, when the kingdom of God arrives in its fullness, those who are in last will be first, and those who are first will be last." If you want to make someone who is on top uncomfortable, point that out to them, especially if the way they got to the top is through manipulating others or prospering on their efforts and not on their own hard work.
As seniors in high school, we have seen our fair share of manipulations in situations like the ones we saw in our skit. And looking ahead, we know that we will encounter manipulations like office politics and mudslinging. If we are involved enough in the church, we will likely be exposed to church politics too. But we hear the voice of the janitor today. We hear the voice of God. I am with you. Do not be afraid or discouraged. I am with you.
Do not be afraid or discouraged. In the Luke message, we see that Jesus was no stranger to politics, manipulations, and maneuverings. Herod was once Jesus dead. The Pharisees want Jesus gone. It becomes obvious that as time goes on, almost everyone turns on Jesus. As Jesus is made aware of the threat from Herod, he responds with a voice that is courageous and unafraid. He stands up to Herod by calling him a fox. Using this word lets everyone in earshot know that the jig is up. Jesus knows exactly what's going on. Jesus also knows that he is not alone. He has courage because he knows that God is with him.
Do not be afraid. Be strong and courageous. This was the theme of our choir tour this year. This was the motivation behind our skit, knowing that God is always with us forever regardless of what we do. Pastor Caroline tells the children in the church all the time, nothing can separate you from the love of God. Pastor Valerie preaches often about reconciliation and a message of hope because God is always with us and his love is forever. We can listen to the mystery voice and become dragged down by mudslinging. When we listen to the mystery voice, we often get involved in church office politics. When we listen to that voice, we become just like the ones who turned on Jesus.
Do not be afraid. Be strong and courageous. I am with you. That is the voice of the janitor. That is the voice of God. That is the voice the students choose to listen to. When they did listen to the voice of God, they were able to heal and they were able to listen to one another. We do not always hear the voice of God. Sometimes we really have to listen. The other voices are easy to hear because they're all around us, yelling constantly to get our attention.
Office politics, mudslinging, church politics. High school, the workplace, Jerusalem, and the Bible. How much has changed? How much has stayed the same?
Where do you see yourself in our skit? The big bad bully who's actually afraid and scared on the inside? The nerd who longs for belonging and secretly is courageous but is afraid to show it? The popular girl, or maybe her friend who desperately wants to be noticed but doesn't know how to? Can you see yourself in the mystery voice? Can you see yourself in the janitor?
We don't know where you are at in your faith journey. We certainly don't know where you're at in your life journey. Everyone is in a different place. Our hope today is that you will leave here knowing that God loves you no matter what, that you will take with you a message that is centered in the knowledge that God is always with us and each of us has the ability to be strong and courageous. We don't have to listen to the mystery voice. We can choose to listen to the janitor. We can choose to listen to God.
Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. I am with you.
Amen.
Amen.